Welcome back to the show. Very good evening to any listeners who just joined us. Tonight we're talking about picture frames, and the problem that we have is the imperial measurements against the metric measurements. And what we're looking at the moment is the small picture frame of 1 centimeter. Now, if you got a small painting, artwork, photographs, for example, and you just want a small frame, the 1 centimeter diameter is probably going to be best suited. If you've got a 3 centimeter picture frame, your eye can be distracted by the outer frame. So what we're looking for is an overall perimeter of nothing more than 1 centimeter. Now, the main issue here is centimeters and imperial measurement, of course, being in inches. 1 centimeter actually works out at 0.3937007874 of an inch in 1 centimeter. So basically what we're saying is your picture frame on the 1 inch parameter would then equate to 2.54 centimeters, and again you have the main problem where the 2.54 centimeter, the 1 inch, is also distracting to the eye. If we were to compromise and we were to take the overall picture frame width, that's the surrounding frame, not the whole picture, of course, but the surrounding frame. And if we went for 1.5 centimeters, then we can more easily equate the imperial measurement on this one to something more satisfactory. And what I mean by that is we can bring that to 0.59055118111 of an inch. That's the measurement you would have if you were using the imperial as opposed to metric. The algebraic steps on the dimensional analysis formula simply means that 1.5 is multiplied by 1 inch divided by 2.54, which equals, of course, 0.59055111811 inches. The simple methodology that we sometimes use in picture framing, of course, is we round up the numbers for easiness, and therefore we could maybe suggest on the 1 inch category of 0.3937 centimeters. That's, of course, 3,937 points of a millimeter on the scale. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back very soon. We will pick up once more on the picture frame at 1.5 centimeters or 0.59055111811 of an inch. Back in a moment. Welcome back to our listeners on the show here at Picture Framing Monthly. We did break for the news there. What we were talking about just before 9 o'clock this evening was the imperial against the metric measurements on the picture frames. We did talk about the algebraic steps very briefly. Just want to come back to that just a little bit more in detail on the initial 1 centimeter readings on the scale. Simply, you've got a 1 centimeter metric picture frame width. That's the surround, not the glass, but the surround on the picture itself. And we're talking here possibly photographs, small artwork, very small paintings and prints, for example, and anything above, as we're talking about, anything above 1.5 centimeters. That's the 0.5905511.811 measurement. But we say that the 1 centimeter width surrounding the portrait or the glass then falls into the area of imperial measurement of 0.393700787. Excuse me, zero. I'll just start that again for your readers, for the listeners. Sorry, 1 centimeter. That's 1 centimeter is equal to 0.393700787 of an inch, just to make that correction, in case anyone is confused. And what we're saying on the algebraic steps was that the equation then falls into the category of 1 centimeter is multiplied by 1 inch over 2.54 to give that reading of 0.3937007874. And the reason we do that, of course, is because the 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters, something I think I failed to mention just before the news. So let's recap there. If we've got a 1 centimeter picture frame, we have a imperial measurement of 0.3937007874. The algebraic steps to achieve this would be the 1 centimeter would be multiplied by 2.54 centimeters divided by a 1 inch to equal the reading. There's also some questions on the older wooden picture frames where if you get a 1 centimeter or 1.5 centimeters, for example, talking metric, of course, how stable a picture frame you can achieve with that type of measurement, and therefore you may well see that most of the older picture frames from wood would have a minimum of of 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, using the same dimensional analysis formula. Of course, would give you a reading of 0.787401 0.5748. Just repeat that. 2 centimeters would give you a reading using the dimensional analysis formula of 1 inch over 2.54 centimeters, equaling with the division. So we divide it. We'll take the 2 centimeters. 2 centimeters. We multiply the 2 centimeters by 1 inch divided by 2.54 centimeters, which equals, of course, 0.787 401 5748. I just want to make that clear. Some of the regular picture framing listeners may well have already grasped that, and do apologise for repeating, but for any new listeners who have not actually caught on to the measurement scales or the formula, I just wanted to recap, so thanks for your patience. Looking at one of the questions by a reader from a few weeks ago, when they were talking about the cornering. It's a good question. I mean, the cornering on the picture frames does not necessarily follow on the diagonal. So what's the best way to describe this is on the joining part, the 4 corners, there's a small section at the V, which is the longest part of the join, and that can be slightly longer. So if you maybe get a 1.5 centimeter measurement, and we'll just recap that 1.5 centimeters would be 0.5905511.811 of an inch. You will most likely find that the corner at the V would be 1.8 centimeters, the kind of standard, or in imperial measurement of 0.70866141173. So hopefully that helps. Looking ahead on the programs that are coming up later in the spring, we do have a special night in March, where we will have a few members of the Picture Framing Association joining us to discuss measurement and conversion to common lengths between the metric and imperial. And it's strange because, lots of us now, we tend to convert from the metric to the former, but I still use the latter, the latter being the former. If I was to say to you that the 1 inch multiplied by 2.54 centimeters divided by the inch would then therefore equal 2.54. It's very simple, very, very straightforward correlation between the inches and centimeters in that matter. But where it gets complicated is, for example, on a 1.9 inch scale. You don't see many of these frames nowadays, but certainly there are still a few, perhaps in antique sale rooms. You don't get jumble sales quite so much, but certainly second-hand shops, antique sale rooms, that type of thing you may find. And if you pulled out your measuring tape or your pocket ruler, for example, you would find that the equivalent of the 1.9 inch equates to 4.826. That's 4.826 centimeters, and that figure is reached, of course, because 1 centimeter is equal. 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimetres, and therefore if you take 1.9 inches, multiply that by 2.54 centimetres over 1 inch, you will get the 4.826 centimetre as a final on the dimensional analysis formula. Some way to go this evening on the picture framing monthly special. As I say, in March we've got the Picture Framing Association joining us for some more discussions, and just looking at the diary here, please note for the 20th of May this year for the special, that's the early summer special, we will be looking at rounded frames. That should be an interesting evening. Hopefully you'll join us. We're going to stop for some music now, and we'll be back shortly. Thank you. A very warm welcome back to the show. That was Ken Thorne and his orchestra from the album Sussy Paris, and the track was La Vie en Rose, which translated is Life in Pink. Yeah, welcome back. Earlier we were discussing the parameters, that's the width and with depth of picture frames, and there was a concerted effort to complete the measurement scales from metric to imperial for many of the new listeners to the show, which we are grateful for. There was one area I just want to pick up on, actually, was the mention of the points to a millimetre at 3937. Of course, we're talking here of 39.37 millimetres and not 3,937. So that was a correction I was very eager to make this evening. So we're looking simply at the measurements that we have, and with the 1.5 centimetre, which we've discussed in fair depth over parts of the show in the last hour. What we want to look at now is the larger dimensions on some of the larger pictures. I'm talking gallery-sized pictures here, and therefore the some of these frames need to accommodate the canvas of that size. So what we'll do is we'll concentrate a little on that for the last few minutes of the show, and then we'll give a bit of a recap. Firstly, what we'll do, we'll look at the gallery size 6-inch paintings, which of course, not the paintings, but the picture frame. That's the parameter of the picture frame itself. It's equidistance on the width and length surrounding, although we did touch on the V points of some of the corners, which there is an extension on the measurements at the 4 points where they meet. But 6 inches being 15, that's 15.24 centimetres, and 15.24 being of course metric, as opposed to the 6-inch imperial measurement, which is no longer in use. In fact, since the days of decimalisation in 1971, there's been a step away from all imperial measurements, but surprisingly there's still a great demand and use for the weights measures of the imperial league. The metric 15.24 that we've just mentioned, just for any fresh listeners, how we achieve the translation of a 6-inch imperial measurement to a 15.24 metric measurement is fairly straightforward. And just to recap for anyone who didn't fully grasp the dimensional analysis formula, the 6-inch measurement would be multiplied by 2.54 centimeters. That, of course, equates to 1 inch, 1 inch being imperial, of course. The division of the 2.54 by 1 inch multiplied by 6 inch would then give you the figure of 15.24 centimeters. So if there's any listeners who are at all confused, please don't worry. Please don't worry. We have a picture framing special with the Picture Framing Association coming up shortly in the month of March. Not long to wait, and that evening we'll delve in much deeper into the algebraic steps in how we achieve these conversion figures for the picture frames from metric to imperial, or imperial to metric, as many of our picture framing listeners prefer. So we have the gallery size, which is standard 6-inch. 6-inch, just to reaffirm, is 15.24 centimeters. And maybe just at this stage worth mentioning again, although we have commented that 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters, it may well just be worth emphasizing that 1 centimeter is therefore equal to 0.39370079 inches. If you want to note that down, if you want to note this, I'll give you these figures once more. So from the top, we have 1 inch. 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters, and 2.54 centimeters on the conversion. So you would divide that by 1 inch to obtain the sought after converted metric figure, depending on your initial startup. So rather than confuse, let's just take a step back and review the algebraic steps on the dimensional analysis formula for the 6-inch once more, and that would be 6 inch multiplied by 2.54 centimeters divided by 1 inch, of course, gives you the 15.24 centimeters, and 15.24 centimeters would be the standard gallery size picture frame for large canvases, for galleries, museums, etc. We would then look to just mention, as I was hoping to do there, that 1 centimeter is equal to 0.39370079 inches. I mean, it's not always necessary to convert from the imperial to the metric. As I was saying at the earliest part of the show, what we can do is convert figures quite quite randomly from the metric to the imperial. For example, if I was to mention a figure, excuse me, a figure of 11.2 centimeters, I mentioned that very, very specifically. I do have an odd painting in the hallway. The painting is not odd, but the frame is rather odd. The frame size, it's in a walnut veneer, if I remember correctly. But it's a very odd size. It's 11.2 centimeters from the outer edge to where it touches the glass. That's all the way around the perimeter of the painting, and it's 11.2 centimeters, which is 4.40944819 inches, and it was one of my picture framing friends and colleagues who had said to me that he had never seen a 4.409448819 frame in his entire professional career. So there you go. We are coming shortly to the end of the show. We can always do a catch up on some of the discussions in next week's show. If you want to drop us a line, feel free to do so. As I say, we've got the Picture Framing Association visiting us in the March monthly show, and then we have the early summer special on the May the 20th this year. So lots to look forward to. We're going to leave this evening with a very, very short piece of music, and I bid you a very good evening.